The year was 1986. Nintendo had been experimenting with the disc technology for the Famicom. Meanwhile, Philips and Sony co-developed a standard for a multimedia compact disc dubbed CDI, or Green Book, which would later be used in the CDI console. 2 years later, in 1988, the specification for a new CD-ROM format called CD-ROM/XA was released, and it was at this point that Sony was approached by Nintendo to produce a CD-based add-on dubbed SNES CD, which would later be called the Nintendo PlayStation. Yes, folks, you heard that right. The Nintendo PlayStation. A year later, a contract was signed and work began. All was well until 1991, when Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi picked up the contract signed between Nintendo and Sony and read it. He realized that the contract gave Sony all the rights to the games made for the CD add-on. He of course found this unacceptable and canceled the contract between Sony and Nintendo. Sony took their word, and after 3 years and a number of lawsuits later, the Sony PlayStation was born, and we all know what became of that. It's all over, you have no chance. Meanwhile, Nintendo flew to Philips headquarters to sign a deal to develop an add-on. This new deal would be much more favorable to them than the one they signed with Sony. So the contract was signed, giving Nintendo the rights to all the games made for the add-on, and work began. However, Nintendo would later back out of this agreement after witnessing the failure of the Sega CD in the marketplace. As part of the severance agreement, Philips would gain the right to use Nintendo characters, and the end result was Hotel Mario and the Unholy Triforce. Oh, great. Philips contracted out the development of 2 Zelda games to a studio called Animation Magic. As part of the contractual agreement, Philips demanded that the full capabilities of the CDI be utilized, including the use of full-motion video. Animation Magic was given a low budget of $600,000 to develop 2 Zelda games, which became Link: The Faces of Evil and Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon. The decision was made to develop the games in parallel and use the same engine for both, hence the similarities between the two. Animators from Russia were flown in to do the animations, and on October 10, 1993, Link: The Faces of Evil and Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon were released simultaneously for the Philips CDI, and the rest is history. Come on, fucking hit him! The games faded into obscurity, and it wasn't until the internet that they gained notoriety. The Wand of Gamelon, along with the rest of the Unholy Triforce, went on to be almost universally panned by reviewers and are considered by the gaming community at large to be some of the worst games to ever be released, and are classed with the likes of Deadly Towers, Action 52, and Shaq Fu. The Wand of Gamelon and its evil twin went on to become a popular and consistent source of YouTube poop and mockery from reviewers and gaming websites everywhere, and has become a gift horse for the Disgrace to Gaming series, and for that, I thank the makers of this game. This game has received such a bad rap that I thought I'd throw out a couple of other quotes from a couple of other reviewers who gave their piece on this royal piece of shit. The angry video game nerd describes this game as a trash bag that's had a bad day. Like say your mom cleans out the cat litter. Fresh and stale duty pebbles go right in the bottom of the bag. And then your sister throws out her used tampons, and where do they go? In the same bag. And then your brother comes home piss-ass drunk, just upchucks pukes right into the bag. You know, I'm not going to disagree with him. Sean Baby said that 10 years ago, a group of cruel scientists kidnapped a retarded kid, blindfolded him, filled his helmet with bees, and demanded that he draw cartoons. Those cartoons were later used as the Legend of Zelda Wand of Gamelon cutscenes. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And since recycling seems to be a common theme here in this video, I thought I'd give my final piece on this game.
Shitty graphics, shitty gameplay, and some of the worst fucking controls in a video game ever. You start the game off too weak, you get no invincibility buffer, and this horrible game is just almost unplayable. This pathetic excuse for a game is a complete train wreck, with absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And after suffering through this abomination from start to finish, I can now honestly see why Nintendo pretends that this game doesn't even exist. And I, quite frankly, think that the rest of us should do exactly the same.